Next topic would be traffic criteria, specifically on the Paragon issue that he can go into more, and about advocacy and perhaps even into the whistleblower issue because it's all tied together. This would be Gene Simmons, who used to work for the state of Maryland. And welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for inviting me tonight. I retired. Actually, I didn't retire. I was forced into retirement because my boss did not take well to the FBI coming in and questioning him about his tactics after he found out I was the one who called the FBI. Bosses are like that. And by the way, he didn't last much longer than I did. He didn't want to go, and I did. So since 2011, I've been somewhat of a community activist. I don't get paid to do anything that I do. I heard that that gentleman down in DC, he was a community activist. It seemed like it was a good career path. I doubt if I'll get that far, but I don't get paid for anything that I uncover, by the way. So I live in Harford County, and about a year ago, I noticed that there was a lot of controversy about a Walmart. One of my districts happened to be what's called District 4, which is Baltimore and Harford County. And I had 4 of the 7 engineering districts. And I just knew from the top of my head that this Walmart that was being proposed between Maryland 24 and 924, I just couldn't imagine as a traffic engineer how you could squeeze that into that little tiny piece of land. So I called the activist from the neighborhood, Steve Tobia, and I asked him about it. And he thought everything was legal. His protest was holding placards, marching, writing letters. And I said, Steve, you better be careful because the people you're dealing with have a track record that isn't too savory. So before I did anything, I filed Maryland Public Information Act request. I think as of today, I've filed about 187 of them since I've been retired. And 2 more are going out tonight about some fraud that's down at State Highway I found out today. So I get the information back, I get the studies, and I called Steve up, and within a half hour I said, Steve, you guys, pardon my language here, you guys are being screwed over. The consultant, State Highway, both at my old office in Hanover and the District 4 office, the only people that are reputable in this whole discussion are the Harford County traffic engineers who actually made comments. State Highway and District 4 made no comments, which is not unusual. They don't comment. How can you not comment on a Walmart, the biggest Walmart you could ever build? They had no comment. My people down at traffic, I found out that they took the person that I trained, who had 3 master's degrees and was a professional engineer, they took all of his review responsibilities away and gave it to a former State Highway employee who had just been recently let go by Traffic Group, who had just been, who completed the study for the Walmart up there. So he had no engineering degree, and he 2 days a week. So we did a little bit more checking. Well, it turned out, because I used to carpool with the guy. I used to live in the apartment complex. I knew this guy like a brother for 45 years. He told me at a memorial service for a friend of ours that he was working 1 day a week for Whitman Requart and 1 day a week for Traffic Group. Now, what they tried to do is they tried to justify him having no comment on the Traffic Group study because he made his comment for the Walmart while the 1 day a week he worked for Whitman Requart. Now, that doesn't pass the smell test. Then State Highway, after I met with Senator Casserly in Harford County, Senator Casserly asked me at a public meeting, write down 5 questions I'm going to put them in my words. State Highway virtually lied. I have the documents, by the way, where they said that Mr. Richardson did not even come into the building in Hanover. But the dummies in the public information request gave me his expense account records, which showed he was in the office 17 times. And he was told just to come into the building, look for an empty desk, sit down and go. Then on top of that, he lied about his commuting and all that. So make a long story short, within 4 months, our citizen group in Harford County, Walmart said, no mas, we're gone. We're not going to pursue Walmart in Harford County. Which, from what I've been able to gather, it's one of the few times Walmart has ever actually surrendered and walked away.
I agree. Chestertown.
Yeah,
You're the
I don't,
second one.
well, I think they're down there. I'm not sure. So then I hear about Heather Patty at Paragon. And I was reading it and everything. And again, I'm thinking, how are they, there's backups on Route 7 today from Ebenezer Road all the way back to Allenson Transmission. I wonder what they're going to do. Again, I had doubt. I filed a public information request. Guess who the reviewer was? Mr. Richardson from Traffic Group, or Whitman Record, I'm sorry. So I read it. It was the worst traffic study I've ever read in my life. They ignored everything with Paragon. They said that only 2% of all the traffic going to Paragon, I'm sure most of you are familiar, would be using Campbell Boulevard to get there. And that hardly anybody would be coming westbound on Maryland 7. So my question is, were they going to helicopter in? I mean, there's only, or this ramp that's proposed, nobody at State Highway made comments. And our friends right over the hill here somewhere, Baltimore County traffic is probably even worse than State Highway. They make no comments. You pay for comments, you pay for scrutiny. Baltimore County Traffic Engineering, State Highway, at the Hunt Valley office and my old office, no comment on Paragon. No comment. So then I asked for a copy of the construction plans. Went out to Hunt Valley and picked them up. Charged me $9, but it was well spent. There's only one person who made any comments about Paragon. He worked for the Maryland Transportation Authority because of 95. His name's Dennis Simpson. He was from State Highway and planning. I guess he didn't drink the Kool-Aid that the State Highway people drank, who didn't make any comments. He went into 17 great points about Paragon not being able to be built. One, and the most egregious one, was this new ramp that's being proposed for 43. He said, and I agree, because I read the same documents he did, the ramp that's being proposed only meets 50% approximately of the AASHTO minimum requirements for access to a roadway. 50%. Now, as a traffic engineer, I guess it's this way in the business world, whenever anything requirement-wise is preceded by the word shall, we had been drummed into our mind to violate a shall condition is unconscionable. You can't do it. There is no rationalization. If it says shall, you don't build it. Here are the plans. All work on this project shall conform to the Maryland Department of Transportation State Highway Administration's administration specifications entitled Standard Specifications for Construction and Materials. But Ed Adams from Baltimore County Traffic Public Works Director, State Highway, they're about to violate it. They're about to violate it. They're making no addressing of the problem today. It was so ironic. I went down, I got to admit, I went to the farm store to get a cup of coffee at Ebenezer and 40. And I went up to where this place is situation is being proposed. There was a backup today from Ebenezer Road on 7 all the way back through the intersection at Industry Lane. All the way back. Now, there's nothing in these plans that will mitigate that, other than, well, we're putting a ramp in to go eastbound. That doesn't mitigate the people going up to Harford County or going this way. Nothing. They're doing nothing to Campbell Boulevard. And I'm just giving you a little advance notice. Tomorrow afternoon, I'm contacting through email and regular mail. I'm contacting the Maryland State Prosecutor, Mr. James Cabezas, and the Federal Highway Administration's Inspector General's office, asking them to officially look into Paragon for irregularities. This gentleman who was brought in to look at these things for State Highway, I used to get in arguments with him because while he was a member of State Highway, he worked part-time for traffic group.
Isn't that a conflict of interest?
Oh, yeah.
No, that's just-
Oh, yeah. And, yeah, then he went to work for him from 2005 to 2008, and then he came back. Okay, that's all well and good. He could technically be brought back. But why? Everybody, District 4 traffic people knew it. People in my building down at Hanover knew it. Everybody knew this guy. He's a nice guy. I would love to have a beer with him. Unfortunately, I got to tell the state prosecutor he has some ethical problems, but everybody knew he worked for traffic group. Everybody. Yet, nobody said, can we get another opinion on this? Can we, didn't he used to work for traffic group? And the biggest problem is out here at the Hunt Valley office, the new state highway administrator and I have had some discussions, and he's concerned, because he's new. He's not a part of the good old boy network. He came from out of state. He's concerned that that office out there is making no comment. Heather and I worked closely about a traffic signal over on Route 7 and New Forge Road. They said it wasn't warranted. I was at a meeting before I left where they asked for a traffic signal a mile down the road to an intersection that has less traffic. I told Heather about it, and I tried to embarrass District 4 a little bit with it. I said, how come in 2008 the intersection down at Joppa was warranted and now New Forge isn't? The traffic didn't go down. Well, lo and behold, about 2 weeks ago, District 4 has said, oh, we changed our mind, we reconsidered it, it's going to get a signal now. Because I stepped up, along with the community, but I told them I was at the meeting where you all asked for that signal. Paragon, there should be people indicted for doing this.
Could you explain what Paragon is?
It's the development that's going to build this shopping center, office park, you name it, behind the Lowe's and over off Route 7.
By the White Marshall.
Well, it's on this side of the mall.
They want to build it.
Well, the petition drive might have stopped it for a while, but the problem I see is that there hasn't been anybody brought in, suspended, fired, indicted, anything for this obvious conflict of interest where they know this guy worked for traffic group, they know he had a past affiliation, and the people in District 4, and the people in Baltimore County Traffic Engineering who get paid to review this information, why aren't they reviewing it? And if they're not reviewing it, well, one reason I know, when I used to work at State Highway, it really bothered me, is that it seemed like most of the office in Hunt Valley was on what they call work from home, 2 days a week. Which was, to me, I never liked it down in my office. It's a joke. Try to get in touch with somebody who's working from home. You're not going to find them. But 2 days a week, most of that office can work from home. Now, if they can't do their job, maybe that 2 days working at home can't work very well. Maybe they have to be in the office more. But to make no comment on a Walmart or a shopping center, it's like, why do you need these people? If they're not going to do anything, if they're not going to make any comments, if they're not going to look at the documents, let them join the retirement world with me. We'll all go out and have a beer at lunchtime, talk about the good old days or whatever. But I don't see any purpose of having these people on the payroll, including Baltimore County, if they're not going to review the documents. And then let a person they know is working for this other company. By the way, and I'll wrap it up. Last March, when I got all my ducks in a row and I found all this and I was confident, I contacted Maryland Department of Transportation in March 23rd of last year about Mr. Richardson and Traffic Group. 3 days later, his contract was terminated.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, and his contract really didn't expire until August. So fortunately, what I've found is this new administration is Republican. I'm not playing favorites here, but they're willing to clean up the mess of the Democrats. If Democrats had probably been in there, it probably would have been go along to get along. But now that it's a new regime, this new state highway administrator, Gregory Johnson, I wish you all would send him an email. I wish you'd send the state prosecutor, James Cabezas, the fraud hotline. I wish you would send all of these people, and I'm going to send it to Alan, the email addresses, and just send them and say, you should look into this. This is egregious. Senator Castley told me up in the legislature a couple weeks ago when I was testifying for something. He said, Mr. Johnson is looking into this situation. Well, quite frankly, this situation's been known for a year. I mean, I don't know how much longer you have to. It only took me about 30 minutes to figure out something was wrong. I don't know why it's taken over a year before. This traffic group, by the way, back in the 80s, was suspended by the then state highway administrator, Hal Kassoff, for 1 year because they were fudging numbers on studies. A whole year. And so I just, please, don't let me walk out of here and then have this issue drop. Contact Cabezas, the fraud hotline, Gregory Johnson, put them all in the same email. That way they all know the other one got it. Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Now, you've already contacted Jim Caviezel, right?
No, I'm doing it tomorrow, but I gave everybody a CC that I was being here tonight to talk about this fraud.
Now, how do you feel about your chances of getting an indictment through state prosecutor's office?
I met with Mr. Cabezas back about 8 years ago about things down in my office involving fraud.
Because last time I heard, someone was replaced there. I can't remember whether it was Jim Caviezel or one of the, maybe it was a director over him.
When I contacted him about this same individual, no, actually, I became aware of some payoffs at State Highway about a year ago. And I listed, that's what I do. I'm working on a thing, chief engineer, as of, this should hit the news in the next day or so. He gave his brother a $325,000 contract to bring in front end loaders for the blizzard.
That's nice.
And I was the one that broke the story about the 23 missing snowplows. So people just call me because they see me on television, and they're afraid to tell anybody, but I'm not. What are they going to do, make me unretire?
So you're in the early stages of this complaint with the...
Yes, yes. But tomorrow officially, I'm going to send all of this information. And if anybody wants the documents, I couldn't print them all out. If anybody wants copies of these documents, these emails, GENE.Simmers@yahoo.com. I'll send you, SIMMERS. I'll send you Paragon and Walmart. Heather had a meeting. I laid them both side by side, and it was like eerie how close the fraud was. Same people, same companies, same lack of response from District 4 traffic. It was like Groundhog Day. It was like you find it again and again and again. The people aren't doing their jobs. They are virtually not doing their jobs. And I've told District 4 this, I've told my office this, and they know it, and nobody does anything about it. They still let them go about their merry way. Yes, ma'am.
When you're talking about the fraud line, you're referring to the legislative auditors
Yes,
fraud line?
those people, I have sent 8 tips to them. They have published 5 audits off of what I have since 2004.
The legislative auditor's office audits every state agency at least every 2 years.
Except State Highway. They're there twice a year. Because
They're taking up residence.
I was told State Highway is second behind the Department of Corrections for corrupt activity.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised it's not Department of Health and
Of course, when you have guards having sex with prisoners, I don't think SHA ever did anything that bad. You know, not yet.
So you
Yes.
had gone to Annapolis, from what you had told me before, so you've spoken there.
Mm-hmm.
And how many times have you been there?
Since 2010, probably about, I was down there this year 4 times, and I was probably all told maybe a dozen times since 2010. I've been asked by one senator to be on a task force, statewide task force on whistleblowers, because of retaliation against whistleblowers is not tolerated by SHA. once you're a whistleblower at SHA, you might as well pack up your bag and just leave, because the personnel officers at SHA aren't there anymore. The attorney generals are the personnel officers.
So you've made progress there, that's the point I was getting at.
Yeah.
How much? So
Yeah.
You feel like you're making progress and,
The legislators in Annapolis know, they laugh about how fraudulent state highway is. They know it. That's why you've had like 5 different state highway administrators in the last 5 years. They don't last very long. They used to stay there for 12 years, 8 years, 9 years, but they don't stay there because they get booted out. Or the new catchword is, we want to spend more time with our family.
Oh, yeah.
When you hear that, they were fired. So,
And what was it, the Gene.Simmers at what?
yahoo.com.
Yahoo, okay.
And you can call, I'm in the phone book, you can call me. I'm up in Joppatown, and I get calls all the time from people, so you can call me at home, or you can email me, no problem.
Okay, thank you very much, Gene, I appreciate it.
So as you see and hear, there's a lot of information in the CAM group and a lot of people with decades of experience and knowledge. So this is what we want to get out to the county and to the people and the communities and the neighborhoods.